Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take a topic and we go deep.
I like it.
You shared a 2019 research paper with me, and this one is about helping plants survive drought,
Yeah.
which honestly feels more and more relevant every single day. And it's about this stuff called biostimulant. So for our listeners who maybe aren't as familiar, it's pretty fascinating stuff.
It is.
Scientists are looking at things like seaweed extracts and specially formulated solutions that could make crops way more resilient. Okay, so this research paper that you sent me goes deep on how these biostimulants actually work and how scientists are testing them out on pepper plants.
That's right.
And that's where the plant array system comes in, right?
Yes.
It's officially called a high throughput functional phenotyping system.
Right.
But let's just stick with plant array. What does it actually do?
Well, it's essentially like giving each plant its own little fitness tracker.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it can track things like how much water each plant is using. And it's really essential for this research because they're trying to see how different biostimulants affect the plant's ability to handle drought.
So they've got these pepper plants hooked up to the plant array system.
Right.
And they're giving some of them biostimulants.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking to see if the biostimulants make a difference in how the plants use water, especially when they're not getting enough.
That's the key.
Smart.
Yeah.
So what kind of biostimulants are we talking about here?
So the study focuses on two different types.
Okay.
One is a seaweed extract called ICL-SW.
Okay.
And the other is a specially formulated solution called ICL-F1.
A seaweed extract and a special formula. It makes you wonder what those actually do to the plants on like a biological level.
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's kind of what the researchers are trying to figure out in this study.
Right.
And it's not just about how much water they use. They're also looking at things like growth rate
Yeah.
and yield to see the overall impact of these biostimulants.
Makes sense.
And that's just the beginning. They're also measuring a whole bunch of other things like the plant's transpiration rates.
Interesting. So how does the plant array measure that?
Well, it actually uses the weight data we were just talking about.
Okay.
As a plant transpires, it loses water weight, and the plant array can detect those changes.
So the more a plant sweats, the lighter it gets, and the plant array picks that up.
Precisely. And by analyzing the transpiration data, along with all the other measurements, the researchers can start to piece together a really detailed picture of how these biostimulants are affecting the plants.
Well, let's dive into those results then.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got our setup. Pepper plants, this plant array system, two different biostimulants. What did the researchers actually find out?
Okay, so remember how we talked about the plant array measuring how much water each plant is using?
Yeah, and their transpiration, like basically how much they're sweating.
Exactly. So the researchers compared all of that data between the plants that got the biostimulants and those that didn't. And that's where things start to get interesting.
Okay, I'm all ears. Lay it on me.
All right. First, let's talk about ICL-SW, the seaweed extract. When the plants had enough water, the ones treated with ICL-SW grew faster and produced more fruit.
So it's like a growth booster, kind of like giving your plants an extra shot of espresso.
That's a good analogy. But here's where things get a little more complex. When the plants were subjected to drought conditions, the ICL-SW didn't really help them out that much.
So it's great when times are good, but not so much when things get tough.
Basically. Now let's look at the other biostimulant, ICL-F1, the specially formulated one. This one didn't seem to have a huge impact on growth when water was plentiful.
Interesting. So it's not like the seaweed extract that gives them a boost right off the bat.
Right. But here's the kicker. When the researchers simulated drought conditions, the plants treated with ICL-F1 were much more resilient.
Resilient, what does that mean in this context?
It means they were better able to cope with the lack of water. They didn't wilt as much, their growth wasn't as stunted, and they were able to bounce back more quickly when water became available again.
Wow, so it's like the ICL-F1 is giving them some kind of internal armor to help them withstand, tough times.
It's a good way to think about it, and it's a really promising finding because drought is a major problem for agriculture worldwide.
Absolutely, especially with climate change, making droughts more frequent and more severe.
Right, so if we can find ways to make crops more drought resistant, that could have a huge impact on food security.
No kidding. But I have to ask, if one biostimulant boosts growth and the other boosts resilience, why not just use both?
That's a really good question, and it's something that the researchers actually addressed in the paper. They suggest that combining the two biostimulants might be a way to maximize both growth and resilience.
So it's like giving your plants the espresso and the armor. Double the benefits.
Potentially. But they also caution that more research is needed to figure out the best way to combine them and what the long-term effects might be.
Makes sense. So what we're seeing here is that these biostimulants have the potential to change the way we grow crops. They could help us produce more food with less water and make agriculture more sustainable in the face of climate change.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible, but I'm guessing there are still some challenges to overcome.
There are. One of the big ones is figuring out how to apply these biostimulants in a way that's both effective and cost-effective for farmers.
Right, you can have the most amazing technology in the world, but if it's not practical for farmers to use, it's not going to make a real difference.
Exactly. And there are other factors to consider too, like the specific needs of different crops and growing regions.
It's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Definitely not. It's going to take a lot more research and development to really harness the power of biostimulants and make them a mainstream part of agriculture.
Well, this has been a fascinating dive into the world of biostimulants, and I'm definitely seeing them in a new light now. But before we wrap up, I want to touch on something that really struck me while reading this research.
Yeah, what is it?
It's the level of detail and precision that went into this. I mean, think about it. They're tracking each plant's water use in real time.
It's true.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's like they've given each plant its own little voice.
Yeah, it's giving them the ability to tell us what's going on.
And that's allowing them to uncover these
Yeah.
like subtle but incredibly important differences
Right.
between how these biostimulants work.
Yeah, you're not just looking at like a yes or no answer.
Right.
Right?
It's not just does it work or not.
Exactly. It's a much more complex picture.
It's about understanding the nuances, the complexities of how these natural solutions interact with the plants.
That's where the real breakthroughs are going to come from.
Yeah.
Working with nature.
I think that's a perfect note to end on.
I agree.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of biostimulants and drought resistance. It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
Likewise.
And to all our listeners out there, keep those curious minds engaged. There's a whole universe of knowledge waiting to be explored. Until next time, happy exploring.